We are starting off with Survivor Series as under the dazzling lights of Vancouver's packed arena, the electrifying main event of WarGames delivered on every front with chaos, drama, and a finish for the ages. Inside the double-caged battlefield, Roman Reigns' squad stood tall, earning a hard-fought victory after the original Tribal Chief pinned Solo Sikoa following a relentless barrage of finishing maneuvers. The WarGames match was packed with drama even before all participants entered the ring. The first four entrants, Jey Uso, Tama Tonga, Bronson Reed, and Jimmy Uso, escaped their shark tanks and rushed to the ring without incident. However, when Tonga Loa attempted to join, Solo Sikoa intervened, halting his entry. Instead, Sikoa called in Jacob Fatu, whose arrival as the Samoan werewolf devastated the original Bloodlines team. In a similar fashion, Reigns exercised his authority by preventing Punk from entering after Fatu, electing instead to send out hometown favorite Sami Zayn. While Loa eventually entered the match, tensions within the original Bloodline flared as Punk entered himself into the match, unceremoniously shoving Reigns in the process. Punk's move allowed for Sikoa, the final entrant for the new Bloodline, to lock the cage upon entry. Sikoa stared arrogantly at Reigns as the final participant of WarGames approached the ring, but his strategic move unraveled before his eyes as Reigns scaled the WarGames cage in order to enter the match. Reigns' first move saw him perform a crossbody onto the new Bloodline's members as the WarGames match officially started. Upon his entry, Reigns helped every original Bloodline member to their feet, but expressly ignored Punk. Paul Heyman appeared, desperately pleading for Reigns and Punk to coexist just until the end of WarGames. However, their attempts at alliance quickly vanished as Reigns accidentally speared Punk just moments later. The violence continued to unfold with the new Bloodline's early dominance slipping quickly. Fatu attempted a moonsault off the top rope, but slipped during takeoff and clutched his knee during landing and was evidently in pain. Reed nearly put Reigns through a table with a tsunami, but Punk swiftly pulled Reigns from the impact zone just before Reed drove his body through the table. On the other side of the cage, Jimmy put Jacob Fatu through a table with an Uso splash from the top of the steel structure. Zayn, noticing the tide, gathered all team members to confront Sikoa, who was now standing alone. "You f***ed up" chants rang out as Sikoa was confronted 5-on-1. Sikoa took finisher after finisher, with a GTS spear combo from Punk and Reigns finally ending the match. While the original Bloodline was victorious in their match, Michael Cole noted that Sikoa still owned the Ula Fala and was still technically considered the Tribal Chief. As Punk left the cage, he reminded Heyman of a favor that was now owed. The show closed out with Punk amicably beside the original Bloodline as fireworks lit up Vancouver. Now, the reason behind Solo's faction's loss could be WWE's intention to incorporate The Rock into the storyline next, as there is already speculation that the final boss could be the real mastermind behind the new Bloodline. With Solo now suffering the loss to the OG Bloodline, the People's Champion might decide to return and take charge of the new Bloodline. The Great One could claim that Solo failed to get the job done, and now the Hollywood star will take matters into his own hands against the OG Bloodline. This could set the stage for a future showdown between Roman Reigns and The Rock, further intensifying the ongoing family drama. Moving on, Jacob Fatu played a crucial role in the new Bloodline's dominance during WarGames, but a single misstep shifted the momentum entirely. Attempting a high-risk corkscrew maneuver from the top rope aimed at CM Punk, Fatu mistimed his jump and crashed to the mat, landing awkwardly beside his target. Clutching his leg in pain, the Samoan werewolf was sidelined for several tense minutes as Bronson Reed checked on him, and the WWE Universe watched with concern. Though Fatu eventually rejoined the action, it was evident that the injury had taken its toll. He moved with a noticeable limp, favoring his leg as the match continued. This wasn't the first time the 32-year-old powerhouse has faced leg troubles. Earlier this year, he competed with a protective cast due to a similar injury. Despite the setback, Jacob Fatu fought through the pain to complete the match, and according to the latest reports from Wade Keller, Fatu suffered a leg sprain and was taken to a hospital for evaluation. Thankfully, the injury isn't as severe as it appeared during the broadcast. WWE Survivor Series proved to be punishing not just for Jacob Fatu, but for two other superstars who left the event worse for wear. During the post-show press conference, it was revealed that Jimmy suffered a broken toe following his high-risk splash off the top of the cage. The daring dive saw him crash onto Jacob Fatu, driving him through a table in one of the night's most memorable moments. After the match, Jimmy was helped up the aisle by Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. It remains unclear if the injury will force him to miss any in-ring action. Jimmy wasn't the only competitor feeling the effects of the brutal night, as Triple H confirmed that Bronson Reed is questionable for the coming weeks after being evaluated by WWE's medical team. Reed also leapt from the top of the cage, aiming for Roman Reigns, but crashing through a table when Reigns dodged his tsunami splash. While the move was scripted to take him out of the match, Reed may have injured one or both ankles on the landing. Like Jimmy, Reed needed assistance to exit the arena, adding to the night's list of hard-hitting fallout. Now, Shinsuke Nakamura made his triumphant return to WWE on the November 15th episode of SmackDown, vowing to strip United States Champion LA Knight of everything he had worked for. At Survivor Series, Nakamura delivered on that promise, leaving Vancouver as the new United States Champion. From the opening bell, it was evident that Knight wasn't at his best. Struggling to mount any meaningful offense, the megastar was repeatedly overwhelmed by Nakamura's signature strong style. Although Knight rallied late in the match with an inverted burning hammer for a near fall, it wasn't enough to turn the tide. The match's turning point came when Nakamura hit a belly-to-back suplex, sending the action to the unforgiving steel flooring outside the ring. Knight landed hard on the back of his neck before being tossed back inside. Sensing his moment, Nakamura closed in and delivered a thunderous Kinshasa to the back of Knight's neck, sealing the victory and capturing the title. With this win, Nakamura ended LA Knight's 119-day reign as United States Champion, which began when Knight dethroned Logan Paul at SummerSlam 2024. This victory marks Nakamura's third United States Championship reign, adding to his combined 159 days as champion during his previous runs. Moving on, Bron Breakker defended his Intercontinental Championship in a thrilling triple threat match against Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser, the third bout on the Survivor Series card. Kaiser spent the early moments playing it smart, staying at ringside, while Breakker and Sheamus went head-to-head. He attempted to introduce a chair into the match, but Breakker quickly shut him down with a hard-hitting counter. For a brief stretch, Sheamus and Breakker teamed up to punish Kaiser, but the alliance was short-lived as Breakker turned on the Celtic Warrior. With no disqualifications or countouts in triple threat matches, the stipulation added an edge to the bout without over-relying on weapons. This contest shone because of the raw power and intensity of all three men. Sheamus, a seasoned legend, Breakker, a future world champion in the making, and Kaiser, one of WWE's most reliable performers, meshed perfectly to deliver a hard-hitting spectacle. One of the match highlights came when Kaiser narrowly prevented Sheamus from securing a pinfall by pulling the referee out of the ring. The crowd erupted into chants of "This is awesome" as the competitors traded near falls in the closing moments. Ultimately, Breakker sealed the victory with a devastating spear to retain his Intercontinental Championship. The final 10 minutes of the match brought non-stop action, making it a standout moment on an already stacked Survivor Series card. The third and final title match of the night saw Gunther defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Damian Priest, the very man he defeated to claim the title. Der Ring General started the match cautiously, hesitating to engage fully, a detail the announcers highlighted throughout the early moments. Once Gunther found his rhythm, he unleashed his signature hard-hitting style, punishing Priest with the ferocity fans have come to expect. While the slower pace left the crowd subdued at times, big moments, like Gunther's first thunderous chop, brought them roaring back to life. The action ramped up in the second half, delivering a more intense back-and-forth contest. However, something intangible seemed missing compared to their previous encounter, leaving the match feeling slightly less impactful. The turning point came when Priest, recovering from a nasty fall at ringside, was blindsided by Finn Balor's surprise coup de grace. Gunther quickly neutralized Balor, brought Priest back into the ring, and sealed the victory with a devastating powerbomb, followed by a sleeper hold to retain his title. Balor's shocking interference reignited a rivalry many thought had ended. As he made his way backstage, Balor addressed his actions, reminding Priest of their unfinished business. "I told you, Damian. I told you I'd be waiting until you almost forgot. But Finn never forgets, ever." Damian Priest wasted no time in seeking revenge, launching a surprise attack on Finn Balor in the parking lot of the Rogers Arena immediately after the show. The Punisher wasn't willing to wait until Monday to settle the score following his defeat. However, JD McDonough and Carlito quickly arrived at the scene and helped attack Priest. They held him down while the former Universal Champion hit his left shoulder with a chair. This was the same shoulder Damian Priest had injured during his match with Gunther. The Judgment Day left him screaming in pain, while Adam Pearce called for a medic. The WWE Raw general manager was upset by what transpired after Survivor Series. It remains to be seen what Pierce will do following this incident on the post-Survivor Series edition of WWE Raw. He could punish Finn Balor and the rest of the Judgment Day for injuring Damian Priest. Meanwhile, the latter was the one who started the fight, so he may have to face some disciplinary action. This attack harks back to their heated feud that culminated at WWE Bad Blood, where Priest emerged victorious. While their animosity appeared to be settled, the Prince has made it clear that his grudge remains alive, and it just cost Priest another shot at the gold. Are you excited about the next chapter in this rivalry? Who should come out on top in this feud, and why? AEW news as Rampage took a dramatic turn last night when Camille, one of the most dominant figures in the women's division, was discovered unconscious backstage. The shocking incident left fans buzzing with speculation about who orchestrated the attack and how it might reshape AEW's evolving storylines. The scene unfolded near a cluster of stage pipes and scattered chairs as officials rushed to assist the fallen star. Cameras captured the commotion while a referee urgently called for medical attention. AEW later stoked the intrigue by posting a video of the aftermath on social media with the caption, "Who laid out Camille?" The cryptic message has only fueled fan theories, with guesses ranging from rival wrestlers to former allies. Camille's turbulent week may provide some hints. On AEW Dynamite, she ended her alliance with Mercedes Moné after enduring weeks of verbal abuse. Moné had openly criticized Camille, labeling her useless for failing to take out Chris Statlander ahead of Full Gear. With tensions high and the timing of the attack raising eyebrows, many fans suspect Moné, or even Statlander, may be involved. The list of potential culprits doesn't stop there. AEW's women's division is rife with rivalries and grudges, leaving Camille with no shortage of enemies. Whether Camille seeks revenge or finds herself sidelined by the attack, one thing is clear: this mystery promises to send ripples through AEW in the weeks to come. Before diving into the women's WarGames match, let's spotlight a significant moment from the men's WarGames showdown. Prior to the match, CM Punk annoyed the New Bloodline during his entrance, but one particular star got so angry at his face being shoved that it led to WWE inadvertently cutting the screen to black. The post-New Bloodline entrances were made by Sami Zayn, Jimmy Uso, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Jey Uso respectively. Punk came out third, and he went to the New Bloodline's cage and started taunting them. This quickly escalated to Punk shoving the 36-year-old Bronson Reed's face. Both Jacob Fatu and Bronson Reed were so angry, especially the latter, that it ended up with WWE being forced to cut the screen to black. It's unclear whether it's because something was said that was non-PG, but one thing is for sure, it was an intense moment and very much in character for CM Punk to try and get into his opponent's heads before stepping into the ring. Bronson Reed has been one of WWE's biggest forces of nature, and Seth Rollins has had a great rivalry with him over the last few months. However, that didn't result in Rollins getting into the WarGames match, as he refused. We're ending with the women's WarGames match, as after a series of intro videos and backstage segments, Bayley and Nia Jax started things off for their respective teams, setting the tone for the chaotic battle ahead. Bayley and Jax traded heavy blows in the early stages, but the real action couldn't begin until all competitors were in the ring. As expected, the match followed the usual WarGames formula, with momentum swinging between teams whenever a new member entered. The first half of the match leaned heavily on weapon spots, building anticipation for the all-in melee. One standout moment came during Liv Morgan's entry when she brought out her signature baseball bat. The heels restrained Rhea Ripley, allowing Morgan to deliver several shots to her body, intensifying the already brutal atmosphere. Tiffany Stratton teased the Money in the Bank cash-in, but it was stopped. While the match showcased some incredible individual performances, it had its share of disjointed moments, with competitors visibly waiting for their next spots, a common issue in WarGames matches. Despite this, the effort from all 10 women was commendable, with the high-energy highlights compensating for slower segments. Ripley ultimately secured the win for her team, delivering a devastating riptide to Morgan through a table. While the match was fun, it might have benefited from a shorter runtime to maintain its intensity. The bout wasn't without its missteps. Candice LeRae and Io Sky had a precarious exchange atop a cage. Sky attempted a sunset flip, but LeRae clung to the structure, forcing Sky to climb back up and physically pull her down on the second try. Another awkward moment involved Nia Jax and Naomi during a chair spot. Jax initially aimed for Naomi's head but hesitated, likely due to their family ties. Naomi is married to Jimmy Uso and Jax is part of the NYE family. Instead, Jax softly tapped Naomi with the chair before shifting focus to Bayley, a move that felt out of sync with the match's otherwise brutal tone. Despite these hiccups, the women's WarGames match had its share of memorable moments and solid performances, even if it didn't quite reach its full potential. There was an intense moment where Stratton dived off the cage onto a group of people, including Jax. Following this, she pulled out her Money in the Bank briefcase from a trash can and contemplated which champion she should cash in on, as both Nia Jax and Liv Morgan were down. However, her cash-in attempt was spoiled by Io Sky, who used a fire extinguisher on her, and the match continued normally. It'll be interesting to see if this cash-in attempt by Tiffany Stratton will cause some issues in her partnership with Nia Jax. That's a wrap on Survivor Series. What did you think of the show overall? Were you happy with the outcomes, or do you think WWE could have booked things differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for watching.